Hello everyone, it's Carol here at Oak House Journals, and as you can see I've got the prompts in front of me for assignment number 2 in the Collage Weekly Planner project for 2023 that is being hosted by Margarete Miller, and the information about the project or the challenge is underneath the video if you want to find out more about it. So I've got my, just move that to one side, I've got my background piece of paper here, and if you watch my previous video you'll know that I'm working on these pieces of lightweight cardstock, and at the end of the year when the project is finished I'm going to be binding them into a recycled hard-covered book. What have I got for the prompts? Well, the first one is your least favourite colour. Well, my least favourite colour is gold. More a very blingy gold than a muted gold, but definitely I don't like working with gold. So I've got here a chocolate wrapping, and as you can see it's gold in colour, so I'm going to be working with that. I've also got some buttons that are leaning towards the blingy side. Now they do have a shank on the back, so I'm not sure how well they will work, but I've lifted these out, A, because they're gold, and B, because the second prompt is a sewing notion, so these buttons would qualify as a sewing notion. I've actually gone a bit overboard with the selection that I've lifted out for sewing notions, because I have some tiny little press studs here, or poppers. I've got some very tiny little buttons in there. I've also got safety pins, so all of these are sewing notions that I could use. I also have here some vintage fabric buttons, and I could use some of those on my piece, or one of those on my piece. One thing that I really would like to use, and that is this vintage Sylko label from the top of a thread spool. Obviously this sweet wrapper has some lovely circles on it, and I was wondering maybe something like that might work. Don't know, we'll have a look and see how it goes. I've also got this vintage button, and this one again has a shank on the back, but this one's metal, and I think I might be able to snip that off, and I think that would be nice to use on my piece as well. And I also have this little strip of fabric which is a vintage French garment label, and I thought that might be quite nice to fit onto my page somewhere, and it would pick up the red in that. So these are the main notions or sewing notions that I'm leaning towards for the second prompt. The third one is something out of the recycling bin. Well, I've got this business card, and I picked this up over the Christmas period, and it is the business card for a sculptural ceramicist, i.e. somebody that makes sculptures out of ceramics. I picked it up originally because this looked like it was the bark that you find on a birch tree, and I absolutely loved it. And when I saw this prompt about digging something out of the recycling bin, I immediately ran and got this one out, because I think that will go quite nicely. There's gold tones here as well as these browny gold ones here, so I think that will go quite nicely on there. And then these grey tones are going to pick up the background. That's probably stretching it a little bit because they're more grey, whereas this is white, but I think it sort of lends itself in that direction. What else have we got? A foreign language. I've lifted out a flashcard here, so I thought I would use that. I'm using this side, which is obviously the French. A tea bag cover. I've picked out two. I've just had a cup of Earl Grey tea, so I thought I would use that, but I also had this one in the cupboard, and again it's the colours I'm thinking might work well on this, if I can keep it away from the red, because I think that's going to clash, but I'm liking that. But also this one would work well because it's picking up the black on here. Bonus, fibre, yarn or string, and I was wondering about the string from the tea bags that I've pulled out of here, and as I say, the black will work quite well, and it's got gold, and similarly on here, but also this one's got tones of gold, so either of those or both of those will work, especially if I leave the string on, because that hits the bonus prompt. Okay, so let's see what I can do with what I've got here. I'm going to start with this piece simply because it's my biggest piece, and I'm going to go with it there to start with. And actually, as I'm placing that, I was thinking about something that I saw on my iPad last night. I was watching Dee Dee Catron, and she was creating one of her iCAD pieces, and she happened to say that whenever she starts laying down her pieces, she always gravitates towards the bottom right hand corner, whereas I know I always gravitate towards the middle or top left hand side. So we all have our preferences. Right, I'm thinking, let's have a look. Thinking I'd like to keep my pieces in their entirety. I'm liking this little bar here. Now it is blue, as are these pieces on here, but it's dark, so I'm thinking it will, rather than cut that piece off because I want it to tie in with the black here, I'm thinking I'm going to make it work for me. So I'm wondering about whether having that like that there, in which case I can pull this edge away from the border that I've got on here, and I'm wondering about having something like that. I'm trying to work in these circles, as you know, and let's see what this will look like on there. Yeah, I'm liking that. Let's see, I'm just going to anchor that down, see where I can put this one. Maybe just do something as simple as layering it up there, so it's just very, very discreetly done. And I'm getting a little bit of interest in that top corner, not much going on there. So let's see what that looks like. If I pull it up higher to get the other line of text, it's very, very small and is almost lost. Whereas if I do that, then I can get an extra French word down there, the word dimanche. So that looks quite nice there. I'm feeling like I want to put that there, but if I do that, then I lose my sewing notion. So let's do that, like that, and perhaps put that over this gentleman's face. Goodness, I'm liking that. Where's that? That could go in that one, or yes, I think I would stagger that one like that. I'm just going to flip it over for now. So I think I would like that. And got a gap here, which I'm not liking. I could pull everything down and just have my little collage like that. But I'm wondering, let's have a play with this. Now, I was worried about getting too much of a clash. So let me just lift my hands away and I can have a look at this one. This makes the gold really dominate the piece and make it quite heavy down this side, but I definitely need something there. Let me just try twiddling it round a little bit and doing something like that maybe. That's softer, but I'm still not comfortable with it. So let's take that away and maybe put this one down in here. I'm going to try and slide it underneath this business card. I'm actually quite liking that, to be honest. I'm wondering what it would look like if I just took away that number on the flash card, and I think I like it showing. I feel like I've got a bit too much of it showing down at the bottom there, but let's just go with that for the moment. I'm liking having that button there, and I'm wondering whether just to have this one up here. What I could do is just tuck that one behind there like that. Wondering whether or not this might work if I just had that. Let's try just turning it that way for the moment. I'm wondering whether that would work, just having that on there like that and covering up that gap, and then I might actually put another one down in here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Right, I'm going to go with this one, everybody. My goodness, I'm not sure whether it's a good one or not. And, ooh, it would be nice, actually. Let me just pause here a second. I was thinking it would be nice to just have these press studs on the card. It's not quite the right red, but it might be nice just to chop one of those off and just have a little one on that corner down there. Okay, I'll leave that out. The first thing I need to do is see if I can snip away the shank on this button so that I can use it on my piece. And I'll come back if that's been successful. If not, I'll have to think of something else I can use for up there. Oh, well, that was easy. It's not as smooth as I would have liked. I might be able to file that down. There we go, everybody. I've managed to snip the back off, and I've just used a metal rasp to get rid of the stub that I had left. So that's my vintage button, and I'll probably find out I've just ruined a very expensive piece of ephemera, but I don't think it was worth anything, and I'm not even sure where it came from. But I think that is going to stick down on my piece much better now. I might have to use some hot glue or even some glossy accents to hold that in place. And I was thinking I would just have it off centre from that circle there. I'm going to move that to one side, dig out my glue, and let's see if I can keep these in place. I'm not bothered about that one. I know where that one's going to go. I was having the number showing on this one. I'm just trying to line up that line of French text there so that it's level or straight with the label that I've got, so that I can put a dab of glue behind it. So let's do that. Then I was thinking about, let's move that away. I'm pretty sure I know where that one's going. I was thinking that one was going to go there like that. And what I'm trying to do now is keep equidistance on the other side. Let me just check where this needed to be. So this needs to be up a little bit more. And I was thinking, maybe down a bit more actually. I was thinking that on there like that. It's quite, this chocolate paper is quite fragile, so I'm trying to be a little bit careful because I don't want it to tear. Let's put some more glue under this piece. Now this one is wanting to actually glue down, so I'm just going to let it do that. I'm going to need to get this in place, and I was thinking having it something like that. Also had a thought about having some down there, didn't I? Yeah, I'm going to snip this away. So that's given me a little bit of a tab there. And I'm wondering about, sorry, my hands are very grubby. I've been playing around with some inks this morning before I turned on the camera to do this, and stained my hands a little bit. So I was wondering about having that up there maybe. Like that might work. I'm going to try it the other way around. Don't like it that way around. Let's just try it like that. No, I'm wondering about that. So I'm just going to park that for a moment whilst I play with this. I'm going to glue this piece onto my tea bag cover. I'm going to try and flatten this a little bit with my bone folder. Maybe put a bit of glue inside. And what I was thinking was I've positioned this one up here just like that, and I think I like it, so I'm going to go with that. I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac glue. Got a little bit that I folded over. Just going to glue that bit down, and then I'm just trying to cover up that gap between this one and the sweet wrapper, but also have a little bit of staggering. But I don't want that to flatten too much, so I'm just going to adhere it more at the bottom than up here. But the joy is I've got that little tab that I've glued down, which will hold things nicely in place for me. I'm not quite sure what to do with that string, whether to let it just dangle. I'm feeling that I want to do something to balance these corners out. I've been having a little bit of a play because this bottom corner down here was looking way too bare for me compared with what was going on up there. And whilst I'm not particularly liking that, I think I can work with it. Originally I thought I might just stagger it like that and maybe pop that on there, and there is a hint of red on here which I thought might pick up these bits, but that's too much of this for my liking. It's too bold. So what I was thinking was that I can get a little bit of detail with it like that. Then I can use almost the pleating like this on the edge of the back to give a little bit of interest. And then I was trying to think of something that I could do down here. As you can see, I've got one of the tiny little buttons, and I was wondering whether I could go with a row of them up there, but they're so small that they get lost, so I'm not going with that. This similarly doesn't really add anything, but I am feeling that I need to balance out that circle up there, and this is a circle, so I'm looking for a third one on my piece, so I'm not going with that one. I did look at this one, but don't like it. It's a mother of pearl one. It's lovely, a really lovely button, but that's not really doing anything on my piece either. So by chance I spotted that. Now it's the reverse of a mother of pearl one. That one's working because it's picking up the browns, but it's not enough, I don't think. But I do have this one, and I'm thinking that this is the one that I need to put on here for the simple reason that I'm picking up the silver from the button up there, and I'm going to put a bit of glue on top of this one and slide it underneath. Okay, and now I'm going to go in with more glue underneath here. There we go. And you're probably wondering what I'm going to do with this piece of string. I'm just going to try and loosen it off and tie it into a bow if I can. If that fails, then what I can do is, I'm just wondering whether that would add some interest by just having that little piece of tea bag up there. No, I'm going to try and do the bow. And as I say, if I can't loosen it off and it fails, then I can tie a bow with that and glue it on. And I've got a little tiny dab of glue just holding that in place, so it shouldn't move, it should sit there quite nicely. I've glued the vintage button up here. I was, if you remember, going to have it staggered outside this circle, and I was only going to use one part of the big press stud, but I actually quite like having the two together. I've got this one slightly, oh, it's just moved, which is brilliant. I was going to say I've got this one slightly off to one side. I've just used some glossy accents behind these three pieces, and I'm hoping that that is going to be enough to hold these pieces in place. And I'm probably pushing my luck by trying to move that one any more than I am doing. But this is my finished piece, everybody, for this week. It's come together very quickly. Do I like it? Yeah, not bad. I think I probably would have dropped this down further behind here if I could, but yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I've tied my little bow up there. So let's go through the prompts. Your least favourite colour, well, that was the gold that I mentioned. A sewing notion, well, I've gone with several. I've got a button, both parts of a press stud. I've got the top of a vintage thread spool. I've got the French vintage clothing labels, and something out of the recycling bin, well, that was my business card here. Something in a foreign language, well, I've got my French flashcard here. A tea bag cover, I've got two, so I've got my Twinings Earl Grey one here, and I've got one behind here. And bonus, fibre, yarn or string, and I went with the string that's on the top of the actual tea bag itself that was inside my Earl Grey, and that is just up there. So there we go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed seeing this one come together. I'm amazed at how quickly it came together for a change, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video for assignment number 3. So until then, everybody, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.